which sets us up for game one of 2021. When you're looking at Georgia and Clemson, nothing's going to, unless it's a 42-0 game, nothing's going to leave me. And I know I'm kind of in a different category of how I view this stuff and process it. I'm a little too analytical and just don't jump off the rails. But, you know, if they play a 34-31 kind of game, I'm not going to be like, well, Georgia's always blowing it against the better teams, and so they lost this game. They're done for the season. Write them off. Or Clemson, oh, well, they just lost to Ohio State, and now, oh, they lost 2 straight games for the first time in eternity. But the loser of that game, there's going to be some angst there from the fan base.
We're the 2 closest schools to each other that is major contenders in college football to each other. So, of course, technically, we're about the same distance to them as we are to South Carolina, somewhere in there, the University of South Carolina. They're a little closer to a Georgia Tech than we are. But we're, as I said, the qualifier, 2 major college football programs that are the closest to each other for each school that are contenders. Recruit a lot of the same players. I mean, we got a who's who out of the state of Georgia. Trust me, that puts a real nice taste in their mouth when you think that Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson play for us and not them, and that created problems definitely for Rick, especially with Deshaun Watson and other players that we got out of there. This game is a game that should go on every year. If you talk to any good Georgia fan, you talk to any good Clemson fan, they'll tell you that this game should go on every year. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Even when we're bad, even when both teams are maybe not what they should be, it's still an exciting game. And so I'm looking forward to it. The thing with this game, and I really want to look over the rosters, and of course I know who I'm pulling for. I believe we definitely can win the game. But you're right. We've been anticipating this game for a while. Georgia fans have been anticipating this game, telling us that if we would have played then, that would be another loss in the column, and that we got out easy with the ACC. And then if we beat them, it's going to be like, well, I mean, we beat you, and are you having another down season? You know, we can trade off all we want to, but it's going to be a classic game. That it's played early in the season. I think it could be quite nice if both teams ends up being really, really good and, you know, ends up having to meet again later on. So I'm just glad that we're playing Georgia again. And as I said, any good Georgia fan, they'll tell you the same thing, because it is just dog sense that we're not playing.
There was so much discussion on social media following the game and then the next day about the playoff. And the playoff and the format of the playoff is always under discussion. But I had never seen it ever before in the framework of people proposing playoff systems to break up Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. That seemed to be the thrust of the conversation. We need to do this. We need to do that to break up those 3. It's usually because I'm proposing this because this is a better way to do it. This is a more equitable way. This is a more fair way, or whatever, not because we have this aim to break up this triumvirate.
This makes me need to go take some medicine. We talk about this time of season, especially over the past 3 years, since these teams are just so common. Oklahoma is another one to throw in there that we've seen a lot of, seen them in it a lot. But with that said, I don't think you're going to get a different outcome. Ohio State the other night, I do think the other night Ohio State could pretty much beat anybody they wanted to at that time, with the caveat that I believe that they really had it in for Clemson. And they were really pissed at them, and that can drive you. But that's also what went back to my earlier comments when I said, did they exhaust themselves? Did they put everything into it? With that said, that's not the question here. Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson. I mean, so if you go to an 18 playoff, which I am totally for, I want to play an 18 playoff, no more, no less. Five Power 5 conferences, okay, and you have your 3 slots for an at large, okay. That would have worked out great this year. Here's the deal. We would still have those 3 teams at the top, even though Clemson got blown out the other night by Ohio State. If Clemson played Texas A&M the other night, they'd have beat them. If Clemson would have played Oklahoma, I know Oklahoma went out there and beat Florida, and I know Dan Mullen made a really rear end out of himself. But so if you're going to take the game, we're not going to make excuses, and I agree with that 100%. So I'm not taking up for Dan. That's not what I'm talking about. But did he field Florida football? No, he didn't. Pitts did not play the other night. I could go down a list. It's like I'm reading off the 12 disciples of Florida football team. Did not play the other night. So though Oklahoma did look good, and I do believe that Oklahoma has got significantly better than what they did in the beginning of the season, I believe Clemson could have beat them. I believe Oklahoma would have definitely, or Ohio State would have definitely beat them. Alabama would have definitely beat them. Throw in Cincinnati, throw in Georgia. I don't know what people think that they're proposing, that out of nowhere this wild ace is going to slip into the bunch, and it's like, we broke it up, and it's like, there's 3 of us right now. You might get 1, but are you going to get? No, you're not going to get all 3. And so I think that once again, it's wishful thinking. It's wishful thinking that if you will expand this thing to 8, 10, 16 teams, somebody is going to. I loved the Coastal Carolina story this year. And I mean, they're 4 hours from where I'm at. I'm in the upstate of South Carolina. They're down on the coast. But I love that story. So many people love that story. And there's so many good things about it. But you know what? They got into their bowl game. They lost. They lost their bowl game. Now, is Liberty a good football team? That's a good story too. Yeah. But would you want to see Liberty or Coastal Carolina have to play Clemson, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Bama? No, I wouldn't. And that's just it. So I like the comment there from Jamie Oldman. Blame that on your loudmouth coach. Well, here's the deal. Saban says nothing. So what's going to motivate you now if it just takes a smart mouth coach? I mean, he says nothing. I mean, that's what I'm coming back to. Ohio State was truly motivated by his statements. What are they motivated by, Nick Saban, other than the national championship? Because Clemson was motivated by that the other night.